Hey, hi. I'm here to answer a few questions on JavaScript. So, in one of my recent interactions, a few of our engineering students that I interacted with outside of, like, not within my organization but within my circle of friends and their cousins. So, they have been asking me, how do I install JavaScript? So, they essentially want to know how they can install and write code and build applications using the JavaScript language in their local system. So that's the core topic for today. And heads up, JavaScript language is not related to Java. And the straightforward answer to how do I install JavaScript is we cannot install it. So you heard it right. JavaScript is not a language like .NET, Java, or Python, where we can quickly come and find a downloadable for any of the operating systems that we have. Like here with Python, we can download the latest 3.10.6 for Windows, Unix, Mac, and other things, or you can just start building it inside your Docker containers. So you have Docker images as well. It's the same case with Java. You have Java 18 and Java 17, and then you kind of install a few of the things based on the system that's built, like it's x64 64-bit one, or is it's an ARM 64 installation, and same is the case with Mac OS and Windows and Linux. Same is the case with .NET. You kind of go download .NET SDK and then you get a runtime. And here is a point that we are landing to. So the reason why I touched upon Python and Java before we landed up with .NET is because .NET comes with two things. So you have a .NET runtime, and then using that runtime you have different languages that you can build upon, like F#, C# to build your applications. And in the similar way, if we're gonna go find something like, hey, you know what, I want to download JavaScript, you will not find how do I download JavaScript. Of course, there are a few websites which say that, you know what, JavaScript is free, you can download that. But trust me on this, they're all trying to tell you that there's something not really existing out there on the planet. So JavaScript, as we were speaking, similar to a .NET runtime, is okay. We'll come back to runtime in a couple of minutes, but JavaScript is based on ECMAScript specification. It means that you can build JavaScript language based on ECMAScript specification. What does specification say? It says that if you as an organization or as an individual wants to build this, then you have to have these features inside it. So you're gonna have to implement XYZ features. For example, let's open up the ECMAScript. Why is it taking time? Come on. So yeah, like if you want to verify if whatever I'm speaking in this video is true, then the best place that we can visit for anything related to JavaScript is MDN, and it's the developer Mozilla website. It says that JavaScript is a lightweight, interpreted, object-oriented language and is best known for scripting languages that support web pages. But in the in the last 1 decade, we kind of picked it up. The whole world went behind heavily on JavaScript, building applications, frameworks like Angular, libraries like React.js. Then JavaScript is heavily used in IoT using Node.js, which is a runtime. Now this is the place where I'm coming to. Node.js is a runtime. If you see, where does it says? Is a JavaScript runtime that's built on top of V8 JavaScript engine. And this is where the whole discussion goes into. So So the specification says okay, numbers and dates. So if it says, hey, you know what, the value of infinity should be present as a property and attributes, and there should be an implementation of NaN, there should be an implementation of undefined, there should be an implementation of parse float as a function, parse int as a function. These are all that needs to be there to have this. So there are multiple engines that we have, JavaScript engines. If we want to just go find them, JavaScript engines, I believe that okay, apart from V8, which is built by Google, we have, I believe it's Rhino, and then SpiderMonkey from Microsoft. Let's see, it should be documented in our Wikipedia. So Apple developed the Nitro engine for Safari browser, which they say that it's 30% faster and better in performance, and Mozilla leveraged on Nitro to improve their own SpiderMonkey engine. And then what's the other one? Yeah, V8 is from Google, which is most used JavaScript engine. SpiderMonkey is by Mozilla, which is in use in Firefox. And then Chakra is the Internet Explorer's Chakra is the Internet Explorer's JavaScript engine, which interprets the language of JavaScript. And then Microsoft recently forked it, and they built Edge browser on top of it. So these are few of the engines that we have today in the system. And also, if you see that Node.js is also an open source cross-platform backend application enabler that is built on top of JavaScript runtime, and it takes all that heavy lifting using the V8 engine. So if I have to run JavaScript in my local, like how do I get this? Like if I download Python, I kind of can write Python, right? So the easiest way that we can do this today in any of our local machines is by installing Node.js. And so I have Ubuntu machine that I have spun up, and if we go and see, I have installed one of the latest versions of Node, which is 16.16. That's as on today, where we are recording it. And then if I say Node, similar to how I say Python, and it opens up the Python environment within my terminal. It's the same way that when I say Node, it opens up the Node environment within my terminal, and I can say console. Oh yeah, this is great. We have the IntelliSense control console.log Ishwar, and then it prints out Ishwar. So if I have to write code, which is JavaScript, I can straightforward write it here. So I can create a file. Exit. Okay, I'll just say Control C again, Control C, Control D. Oh, it kicked me out of my vagrant machine as well. So this is the easiest way, where you say I have installed JavaScript, like I have JavaScript in my machine. The other ways where people generally show it to test to explain JavaScript for us is going to the browsers, open up the developer environment, developer tools, like kind of say inspect. Okay, by the way, we are on Brave browser. This also runs on V8, and this is completely the Chrome experience. So here is the console. This console is the one that we saw similar with Node.js. It's the similar one, but this is in the browser. So I can say similarly, sure. And then we were reading in the ECMAScript specification that there should be functions like is NaN, is number. So if I have to know how do I use it, I can just go search in this is NaN. Is a function which determines whether a value is NaN or not. So I can simply come into my console and say is NaN, of x of issue is not a number? Yes, the answer is yes. Of course, there are few nuances within A and then the use of it, but in general, this gives us the necessary information on JavaScript. Is this not a number? No, the answer is false because this is a number. So is number. So that's let's look at few of the other functions. Infinity or few fundamental objects. Prototype. Okay, prototype we'll discuss it some other time in few of our other applications. Yeah, object.assign, object.create. So it says, hey, this function creates a new object with a specified prototype. It performs the following steps when called. The type O is neither object nor null, then it throws a type error exception, and if it's an object, then what's the easiest way to create an object in JavaScript? And the answer is like const employee. Say for example, employee is my object. I'll say name issue. I'll say place birth, and then I close it. We just created an object of type employee, an object of name employee, and it abides by the specification which is the ECMAScript. That is TC62, 262, ECMA, yeah, TC39's ECMA 262. So, type of employee, it says it's object. You see here, it's an object. So in the similar way, if I have to do it, I can do the same thing in our JavaScript. So I can say node, I can say const employee name issuer. This is the syntax. By the way, this is the syntax on how do you create an object in JavaScript. And internally, the V8 engine, which is used by Node.js for its runtime, the Node.js runtime, which uses V8 engine internally, would create this object as per the specifications that are picked up by ECMAScript and implemented in the V8 engine, which helps us write JavaScript. And then we say please. And then when I say type of thanks for the intelligence, we can why did that throw undefined. Type of is little different, I believe, within the it should be an object. Okay, we'll check how do I type of throws undefined in Node.js. I think we know the reason why it's like in Node.js it's there starting 0.1, but how do I know that I'm doing the right thing? Employee supposed to employee is not defined by oops man, that's crazy. That's crazy. We should be writing EMP. Okay, so it says employee. That's funny. Is an object. I don't know why it showed me employee in the IntelliSense. That's weird. So if I want to print employee, I can print employee, it prints the object. So essentially this is what we have to be looking at. So we cannot, like, you cannot go and install JavaScript if someone's saying that, hey, this is the way that JavaScript is installed, please don't take that for granted. As a developer, you should know that if you have to write an application, build an application, write code, build an application, whether be it with Node.js, React.js, AngularJS, Vue.js, everything that's JS, you have to have an environment where you can interpret your JavaScript. It's a, so like if we go here, it's an object oriented, but it's interpreted, and that's the reason why you need to have this environment to do that stuff. And that's it for this video. We'll catch up in the next video. We'll talk more about installing Node.js and React.js in our Vagrant environment that we just saw, which is spun up on Ubuntu 2004. And until then, keep watching. Thank you. See you all.